Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound. Up and in. 1 point more to go.
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field, back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
Dan Lanning coming up after Oregon football practice today. Junior Adams, Oregon wide receivers coach, a few student-athlete interviews. It's Oregon baseball game day. We have that for you. And H.J. Cohn, Senior Associate Athletic Director, is here in the studio today. I want you all to know that H.J. walked into the studio about 2 minutes ago. He was on the phone. Anyone who knows H.J. knows that's a common occurrence. He was on the phone. We interrupted his conversation with a really well-done slow clap by the entire studio.
Strong.
Like, well done, everybody.
Yeah.
And H.J. said, sorry, I'm going into press.
Well, the recipient on the other end was like, "What? Where are you?" And I'm like, I had to basically make sure he knew I wasn't off messing around too much. So,
What'd you have for lunch today?
I was unfortunately, gosh, we should have talked about this ahead of time, but I can't lie. So I did not make it to Carl's Jr. Day. I had a meeting run real late and went to get a quick bite somewhere else.
Okay.
They will remain nameless because they're not a sponsor.
Well, I was thinking that it really set the tone for the day if you didn't get the lunch that you needed.
No, what set the tone, I would say for me, in somewhat of a concerning way, would be, and I don't know where the cameras can go in the studio, but that the door to come in here was open, and I'm going to guess that was specifically to avoid me coming in like Kramer and knocking someone on the other end. Because I do like to come in hot through that door.
You do. I'll be honest,
sets the tone.
I didn't think about that. That's on me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll own that one.
Yeah.
That I didn't think, like, oh, man, we got to be able to have the big grand entrance.
Yeah.
But the slow clap was a nice replacement, right?
It was good. It was strong.
All right. It worked out. H.J.
6
Cohn.
strong.
Thank you. H.J. Cohn's with us. We're going to talk a little football. We're going to talk some men's golf. Interviews from this morning's practice are in. We'll have that for you on the show today. And then, baseball game day. Ducks need to bounce back. But I'll tell you, this is what's crazy with baseball. You talk about how Oregon needs to bounce back. Oregon's still 14 in the RPI. You don't want to lose to the Beavers. I get that. But still only fell like 5 spots in the RPI after a weekend that didn't go Oregon's way. And now against a San Francisco team, midweek series, tonight, 5 o'clock. Tomorrow, noon, which means no Duck Insider tomorrow because we'll all be at PK Park. Are you going to take a long lunch at PK Park? What's the plan?
It's always a good excuse, too, absolutely, when I can make my way out there. After seeing it this last weekend and just the turnout and how much that matters to the young men and the coaching staff and support staff, there's a lot that goes into it. And so you obviously want to create, at some level, a home advantage, but additionally, when you look at the amount of work behind the scenes that go into prepping a game, and then you can look up and see a crowd of that stature, makes everyone in the department feel good.
Yeah, I like that. That's great. I love that you said that. All right, what have you been doing since we last talked? It's been like 6 weeks, actually. What's happened?
Yeah. So we, obviously March is no secret. It's March Madness, and prior to that, we have a couple events. We have Ducks in the Desert, and then we can go into Pac-12 tournaments for men's and women's basketball, and then ultimately go into postseason play. And so with hosting quite a bit of games with the NITs, which was exciting to continue to playing, especially for those guys that are seniors and want to soak up every last minute of it, was great. Now we head into April, and spring sports are in full effect. You got a lot of home events coming up. We did have our first track meet this season at Hayward recently, which was cool. First outdoor meet for Coach Schumacher and staff. So, kind of coming into our busy season and hopefully get some sunshine here soon.
Sunshine would be good. It's always sunny and 75 at PK Park, though.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm borrowing one from Don Essig, but modifying slightly. Always sunny and 75 on the diamond at PK Park.
That's right.
We can make that a thing, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it's not trademarked or anything.
No. I never thought about that.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
Shoot. Yeah, thank you. I needed that today.
And we'll head to commercial.
Back after this on the So he's completely thrown me off. This is what he does. What else do fans need to know? What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I think a lot of people are starting to look towards spring game, and not only spring football game, but we have a number of events that weekend, and we'll certainly make sure that our fans are aware. But despite the rain, I think spring football is starting to pick up, and the media surrounding that in anticipation for what should be a fun spring football game here at Autzen on April 29th. And again, the games around that, and then really the football ticketing standpoint. When we start to release dates of group tickets are on sale right now, and then you have mini plans and single game plans. Single games will be really interesting this year. I think there's a couple at least early signs of games that are being sought after on the group side, which typically that trend comes in full circle for the single games.
Sure.
With the likes of Colorado and USC and Oregon State. So a great home football schedule. Additionally, we got men's and women's basketball renewals that'll be coming up here, and what we plan to do with those. So there's a lot on the ticketing side right now, I would say. And then on the events side, from the Duck Athletic Fund standpoint, we kind of do our state tour, if you will, and hit a lot of places and go to their turf and go to their hometowns and bring as many coaches and staff and of the department that we can, and just say thank you, and a way to engage and have fun and have that fellowship and get people excited after summer turns to come back down to Eugene for a number of things.
Yeah, I love that you guys do that. I mean, we've talked about this before, that there's a lot asked of fans to come to Eugene for all these events, and then getting a chance to go into those communities. That's a pretty special deal that you guys do every year.
Yeah, and I've been fortunate. I've been around a long time now, and so getting to see those familiar faces. Obviously, lived both in Medford, Portland, now Eugene for a number of years. Getting to go back and see those folks. We'll hit Northern California. We'll hit Bend, and so when you have those opportunities to go to them, especially with coaches that aren't necessarily able to go on the road as much outside of recruiting, which is the name of the game as we all know it. So for them to be able to go there and say thank you and spend really a full day or two, in some cases too, is something really unique that we want to always continue to do. I also think it's educational and makes us appreciative. It's a little perspective of, when we go on the road and go see these great supporters, ticket holders, general fans, sponsors, whatever it may be, to be able to just, again, go with the intention of saying thank you and leave knowing that you had a really good time and tell some stories and get back here in the fall and winter and spring for our home games is definitely the goal.
That's great. H.J. Cohn joining us. It's Athletic Director Tuesday. Want to re-hit the ticketing side if we could, because I feel like the spring game is always a celebration sort of Oregon football. Like, it's a free event, benefits Food for Lane County, one of the coolest partnerships I think that we have every year. It's one of the best things that we do, but it kind of always jump starts, I feel like, everybody, the spring game. It's like, okay, now it's time to get ready for the fall. Do you kind of feel that way? Like, do you notice that from fans too, that it's like, okay, now it's time to get ready for fall?
Yeah, a lot of it is weather dependent.
Yeah.
We hope that we can have good weather that weekend. I think it's definitely a catapult to those other games that are taking place, baseball, softball, lacrosse, on that same weekend. So there's a lot of excitement just around that weekend, and again, kind of kicking off the hopefully the warmer weather, and then really gets people thinking about the fall already. We've got a really good volleyball. We had a really good volleyball renewal rate for our season ticket holders.
Great.
Coming off an Elite Eight run, and right there, obviously, as we all know it. So, and re-signing the coaching staff. Rob got in front of that, and that was kind of the transition time between Lisa and Val coming on board with our senior women's AD and deputy AD and Valerie Johnson. So that kind of started that trend right there, and locking that in to give those season ticket holders the confidence that this program is going to continue to elevate. And then when you talk about the spring game weekend, there's a lot of things, like I said, that surround that. and again mentally trying to get to the people to understand, like, yes, we know games are in September, October, November, and you got to make summer plans and whatnot, but from a ticket sales standpoint, we are seeing pretty strong demand.
Great.
Which is exciting, like I said, especially for a couple of those games. We got a really fun game in Hawaii and the non-con coming here. I think that'll be really well attended.
Yeah.
Trying to make a weekend out of that, working on some things internally to make sure it's not just a football game you're coming to, but really an entire weekend. With some community partners. So there's a lot. Like I said, the ticket sales timeline coming up in early part of May, where we'll start releasing opportunities. Right now, group tickets are on sale for those people that are looking to take larger groups and have a ultimate experience. So those are coming, and to your point, the spring game really kicks that off.
All right, love that. We're just a couple weeks away from the spring game. Speaking of that trip to Hawaii, I mean, if you want to make it a week long for everybody, why not? I'm just asking.
When we play there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll put you in touch with the right people.
Yeah, thank you. I'd appreciate that.
Everything's really, really inexpensive over there.
Yeah.
They're not making up for COVID or anything. Tourism.
Yeah. Right. It's okay. It's a work trip.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah. And when we do play, I mean, again, a great. I don't think it's any secret. We recruit heavily in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Right. And we have a long history of some really notable football players, obviously, from over there. So when we do those types of series, and Eric Rodell and Rob Mullins put those together years in advance, there's definitely more to it than just saying we're filling a spot on the schedule home game. So for us, when we put Hawaii on the schedule here, coming to Eugene, and I think we do a 2-for-1 with them if I'm not wrong, but if we do a 2-for-1 with them, they're coming here twice in a matter of 3 years. There is this Polynesian culture out here as well. And to honor that and welcome that and really embrace it to what it fully can be, I think it will be a pretty exciting game and the weekend.
H, I love you said that, because like the football games, I think about it sometimes in terms of even like the Alumni Association, right? Because there's all these watch parties throughout the country, right? Like we hear about ones that go on everywhere, right? Like New York, there's a place where you go watch, and the football games especially end up being such a huge community event beyond just athletics. And there's a lot more to it than just, an opponent on the schedule. Like, sure, would we all have loved to have the big marquee sports matchup of Ohio State here at Autzen Stadium? Absolutely. But also, there's a lot of other games that mean more than just the game that happens on the field. I don't know. I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's a cool aspect to it.
Yeah, scheduling particularly, basketball, frankly, too, and basketball schedules come together typically relatively late.
Yeah.
Your non-conference schedule, and that can be challenging. There's a lot more games.
Yeah.
Football is done so far out, and it begs the question each year when the CFP starts rolling their rankings out of, do you schedule hard, do you schedule medium, and so Eric, like I said, he's kind of the lead along with Rob on that, and we have an approach that they communicate with the head coach at the time of what we're trying to do for the foreseeable future, and you're really trying to make sure it benefits your team and the student athletes from a travel perspective and what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
Multiple away games in non-conference. And so it's really a large puzzle, and they are some of the best at it of how we figure it into the long-term planning as well.
Great schedule for football. GoDucks.com. Tickets are out there. Tickets are available. And then we're going to make the spring game really fun. Anything else we should know on the football and ticketing?
No, I think the spring game, there's with Coach Lanning and staff, we obviously had a concert last year afterwards, and that was new, and bringing back a lot of former players. They've done a great job of really connecting that in short order. And kudos to some people that have been here through some multiple coaches, the likes of Matt Neuer and Jeff Hawkins. There's Kenny Farr, some names that have been able to keep those connections alive. So I think that football alumni group is really excited, and I know they do kind of a mini reunion that weekend. They do a golf tournament Friday put on by Oregon Athlete Foundation. So there's a lot of things that come to that weekend. That, again, as we start getting closer, more and more will, I'm sure, be discussed about. And hopefully, like I said, the good weather helps. And we had, I believe, a record attendance last year. And I know Coach Lanning and staff and the football players are really hoping that can be that again and break that this year.
Yeah, here's to good weather, as we know. That helps. But it's a big recruiting weekend. Like, it's a big everything,
Yeah,
it's
and
a huge celebration.
You bring up a good point, and I think it's no secret now how important recruiting is.
Oh, yeah.
I think 15 years ago, people paid attention to it. But really, when it came to signing day, now recruiting, and with the likes of technology, it's at the tip of your fingers, right? And so people are constantly tracking that, and then you factor in the transfer portal of how recruiting has become easier in the sense of you're not recruiting a kid for 2 years. You might be recruiting him for 1 week, 2 weeks. For better or for worse, it's here. It's not going anywhere, so you almost have to take it and embrace it. But that weekend now, and what the NCAA has allowed from a recruiting perspective, that weekend has become a huge recruiting weekend for official and unofficial visitors to come. So you get them to a weekend where you can actually see Autzen, in our case, much more active and live, and what the community looks like, not to the extent of a fall game day, but definitely to the point where you can see the vision and understand the power behind the O and the Ducks plan.
It's a great appetizer. That's how I've always felt, in like the recruiting analogy, right? Like, it's a great appetizer, and then if one of those recruits is on campus for a game in the fall, it blows you away.
Yeah, who doesn't love crab cakes?
Exactly. Well done.
And football.
That's a high-class tailgate.
It's a movie line. Come on, crab cakes and football.
Yeah, but it's also a high-class tailgate. Come on now.
Yeah.
That was probably like a good 10%er, I think.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Like most shows.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
When we come back, men's golf. We're going to talk about that team. They're underway in Santa Cruz right now. Also, the Jake. Some updates coming up. H.J. Cohn's here, and we've got more in the Country Financial Studio after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
I've been driving trucks for a long time, and safety is my #1 priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
Back on Nugget Cider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack and H.J. Cohn in the Country Financial Studio. Alex Stimson's here. You could see the top of his head just a little bit ago. What's on the hand today? He's got – oh, wait.
Hasn't been updated, Joey. I'm working on it.
Oh, okay.
Please resume your interview.
Okay.
Make me hot. What in the world is the hand?
He has a whiteboard hand that he can hold up and have messages for people.
Across the way.
This one says send more coffee.
Ah, got it. Okay.
We have no fun in the Country Financial Studio.
Okay.
No
I'll
fun.
add some feedback afterwards.
No fun, sir.
Yeah. Oh, I got this. Okay. Carry on.
H.J. Cohn is with us. You oversee men's golf. That's been I feel like the way that they've started, they've been really consistent. Like every time it's an update, it's like, well, they finished top 3. You know, like that's been a nice top 25 years so far for Casey Martin's squad.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things, and ironically, talking to Coach Radley late last night, and just how you schedule I think in golf, confidence, obviously it's you're playing by yourself, but you're still part of the team and counting scores and whatnot.
Isn't that weird?
But
in college, yeah.
You know, the thing about this team, I would say, is they're much more broad-based. And yeah, Owen, certainly, it's no secret, right? He's the number one player on the team. Just from the way he's played and outcomes, but also where he's in the lineup. But after that, you see a lot of these teams around the country, and they have a horse, and then it falls off. And this team is really deep, and that goes beyond the travel squad that kind of fluctuates a little bit here and there. But that goes beyond it. The other aspect, and I don't know if people saw it yesterday, but on the Golf Channel, the Golf Channel's airing this. In the afternoons, I think, but they did a feature on our guys and really taking advantage of a untraditional cold tub model. Which happens to be the river down the way here.
Yeah,
so
good.
I think the team chemistry is at a really good place. When you talk about team chemistry, not only amongst your current student athletes, but also with your coaches, the one thing that we hear a lot is the student athletes are really close with their trainers.
Yeah.
You think about when you go see a trainer, it's like when you go see a doctor.
Right.
You're down and they're helping to get you better. So there's a lot of trust built up there. And then the equipment guys, which you spend a lot of time with. But where that goes, and I would argue the modern day student athlete really wants that connection with more than that, and coaches, even though the coaches at times have to be the tough guys or tough gals on those student athletes from a coaching and making them better. And that's ultimately their goal. Is it's love. Sometimes it's tough love, but with the idea and the goal to make you individually better so the team can be better. So with this team, I think they have really good chemistry in an era, as we know, that kids can come and go pretty easily. That happens, and that's okay. It's how do you embrace it and really take it as a positive versus, we lost someone. So they've done a great job with that. They had a really good start yesterday. And like I said, it's interesting. We had Greg Solhog yesterday lead the team, Owen right behind him, and then a week ago, you have Nate Stember win the Duck Invitational. Prior to that, Bandon Dunes, they win the tournament, a collective effort. So I think they're peaking at a really good time come April before you get ready for Pac-12s and regionals and so forth. So playing really well.
And to put it in perspective, a couple now Pac-12 golfers of the week, and it's rare that teams get two different individuals winning that award over the course of a season. It doesn't happen very often. Ducks have done that. You talk about the depth. I mean, that's the reflection of it. Yeah, we'll have some updates coming up. I did want to ask you, Golf Channel has done, I feel, so much more for the college game over the last few years, both men and women. You're seeing more and more tournaments, collegiate tournaments, that are on Golf Channel. That's great, I think, for the sport.
Yeah, I think COVID really helped the sport of golf as a whole. There was the most rounds you could talk to most courses, the most rounds that they'd ever hosted
Alex
in a year.
Simpson played 3 times a day.
But yeah, we can change that hand thing to get back to work maybe. But I would argue that that COVID really did help the game and the sport of golf. One, because you could still play it for the most part. It was outside. But two, the TV and the PGA Tour has done a great job with their junior level and really marketing it for the future. And so that's been really rewarding to see. I talked, like I said, to Coach Radley late last night, and we were talking about his trip to Augusta. And a couple of our girls playing it and doing really well, making the cut to play actual at National on Saturday. And, they basically make it where they can bring in not only the participants but family members, and the whole thing is taken care of by the club. And so allowing that to continue to leading up to the Masters on the men's side, parlaying right into that, again, just broadening the sport as a whole is pretty amazing to see, and I think the future of golf is at a really healthy spot.
Yeah, agreed. Final thoughts for H.J. Cohn. Talk about the future of golf at the University of Oregon. The Jake, baby.
Yeah.
Give us an update. Where's the Jake at?
Well, the good thing is I think it's being discussed more than ever right now internally with a little bit of rainfall we've had, because it has been challenging, and we've had, ironically, on the men's side, 2 tournaments this year over in Hawaii. And then even the Duck get postponed a little bit and threw us some schedule challenges. So I think the Jake is going to be incredibly helpful for our men's and women's golf programs. We've had a lot of support from a number of different people to get it to where we're at. Internally, some external partners that have really said, hey, I want to take a role in this, maybe financially, maybe another route. And so to get it to where it's at today, we laid groundwork in the foundation last week, and I believe framing starts to go up next week.
Nice.
So really getting a head start on it. and should be ready by this fall sometime, which we can't wait to do a grand opening at some level. And then really, when you look at, for example, the men's golf team, there's 6 guys down there, maybe 5 this week, and then 1 individual as an alternate. So 6 guys down there, and you got a roster of 14, so that means you got 8 guys at home. And they're certainly playing still, and they're on a schedule. But if you look outside, and a kid that maybe was right on the cusp of making that travel squad says, I really got to work on my 60-yard game. Well, now he can go down to, or in the fall, he would be able to go down to the Jake and really hone in on that craft and part of his game, and allow, again, we as a department pride ourselves on providing as much resources as possible for the student athlete, both academically and athletically, and then really an overall experience, a life experience, and we really pride ourselves on that. So in this case, for men's and women's golf, when that Jake opens, to allow them to really hone in on their game and work on specific areas of their game that might differ from their teammates is going to be pretty neat.
Yeah, I love it. It's awesome to see it come to fruition, because I know how long it's been coming and how much hard work's gone into it. So it's got to be pretty rewarding for you to see all this happening right now.
Yeah, no, it'll be, like I said, when it comes live, it'll be incredible, I think, from following it the first year and second year and third year after, of how does it impact recruiting?
No doubt.
How does it impact your current roster? And then chemistry we talked about. So you're out on a golf course practicing, say on Monday at ECC or Emerald Valley or Shadow Hills. That's one thing, you're separated. But imagine, in a 5,000 square foot practice facility under one roof, and 4 guys are hitting off TrackMan, and 2 other guys are watching TV, and another couple guys are doing homework. I mean, you got everyone under one roof that you don't always get all the time. I think I'm most excited for.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Final thought, H.J. Cohn, anything we missed? Anything else fans should know?
No, just as always, honestly, just a huge thank you. We have annual donors, major gift donors, season ticket holders, single game buyers, sponsors. This doesn't happen, and not necessarily only the studio, but athletics at Oregon does not happen and provide the community impact, and vice versa, the impact on our student athletes and staff without that support. So just a huge thank you as always.
Lastly, just maybe a quick preview, if you could, Day of Giving. I know coming up, that's a big day around the University of Oregon community.
Yeah, we've really tried to elevate that. There's a couple schools around the country that do a really, really good job with it. Purdue, I know, does a wonderful job with it. It's really took a number of years to get it to where it's at, but really trying to create it as being part of our culture. And whether you're a current donor saying, hey, can I do a little more of that day specifically, or someone that's living across the country but loves the Ducks and saying, hey, this is my call to action this day, and I can make that gift whatever size. So it's something we've been working on a lot, and Lexi Cross has done a great job really revamping that and making sure it's impacting the entire department from a benefit standpoint.
Coming up next month, more details on the horizon. H.J. Cohn, thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for always being here, and get Carl's Jr. for dinner.
I'm on it. Thank you, Mr. Karcher.
Yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. It's baseball game day. It's also spring football practice day. Some updates from after practice. Dan Lanning, Duck football head coach, right after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with the Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
Dear Sharp Turns, Toyota has more all-wheel drive sedans than any other brand. Get a grip in the stylish Camry, the elegant Crown, the striking new Prius, or the sharp Corolla. Get to Toyota.com already. Toyota, let's go places.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit InsureKidsNow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit and the largest non-governmental provider of services to law enforcement. The USDSA assists city, county, state, and federal agencies with free safety equipment donations and officer survival training, along with cash donations to families of law enforcement officers who perish in the line of duty, college scholarships for the children of law enforcement, a citizen awareness program, and more. For more information on the USDSA and how you can help, visit usdeputy.org.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. My thanks again to H.J. Cohn for joining us. Now, after practice today, Dan Lanning came right off the practice field and came to all of us to talk about what he saw and took some questions with the media as the Ducks continue preparing for that April 29th spring game. 1 o'clock set for kickoff at Autzen Stadium. We'll have the broadcast on the Oregon Sports Network. Of course, Jerry and Georgie will be there in the booth. I'll be running around on the sideline. Dan Lanning, Oregon football head coach, after practice this morning.
All right. Good practice day, good physicality. I thought there was some good competition. You know, Marcus Harper said it at the very end of practice. Like, we got to start a little bit faster in practice, so we finished with great competition. We got to start that way. It was a low red day, so we're playing close to the end zone. Got even some goal line there at the end. It was good to see some guys compete. Got to keep building off of it.
When you're overhauling the O-line, just how important is Stephen Jones to that process of just a veteran guy who's been in this program, been around Coach Terry before, to have a guy back like that? How important is it to that room, for that transition to that room?
Yeah, really hard to replace experience, right? And the one thing that Stephen has is experience. He's been a guy that's played, obviously didn't have as much last year, but when you talk about a guy that's played a lot of snaps, has seen it, been around it, he's an old bull, right? You like having an old bull like Stephen on our team.
In your eyes, how was the coach's clinic? What was that experience?
Yeah, great. I think it was a great success. It's a lot of fun for us. I think everybody thinks that these coaches come in and they're learning a ton from us. We learn just as much as these coaches that come in, and we had an elite group. I think it's always fun to have some of our legends involved, some guys that have coached here for a really long time, be able to come and be around our team and around our coaches so they understand what it means to be a Duck.
Last week you said you wanted to find guys who could play football, find consistency on the field. Do you feel like you've seen that the last 2 or 3 practices?
Yeah, it's starting to really show itself, right? Especially when the pads are on, right? There's a big difference between two-hand touch, right, and thud mode or tackle. So I think we're definitely starting to see who can go out there and play ball, who can compete, slowing down some of the thinking process and letting guys play.
So you added to the staff of Jordan, Skylar, and Josh. How did each of them kind of come about? I know Josh, the guy you worked with many years ago. Was he one of those guys in that original list of future guys you wanted to add to the staff? Yeah, Josh is a guy that I've always known. Like you said, we were together at Sam Houston State. And knew that he fit a certain role that we were trying to, achieve there from a special team standpoint, and has some good experience there. He's a guy that certainly I trust. You know, every one of those guys brings something different to the table that I think is exciting, an opportunity for us to grow as coaches and just grow as a program. Some of the ideas that they carry and share, some of their experience, whether it be NFL, wherever that might be. But Scott, I was just curious I've never even asked you how much you keep in touch with Aaron Donald these days, just because he came from the Rams, if that was somebody who gave a reference or something.
No, obviously I have a tremendous amount of respect for Aaron, but I was a GA when Aaron was there as a D lineman, so I'd say our interactions have been small. Certainly a mutual respect, but he's the greatest D lineman to ever play, at least recently. So
there's a lot of new safeties in the room, but Steve Stevens is someone that's been there for a long time. How have you kind of seen him step up and help integrate some of the guys in that room?
Probably the biggest piece is just communication and understanding, like, of what we're trying to achieve. As a young player, it's really hard sometimes as you come in to understand the rules and the adjustments, and Steve's able to really be a coach kind of there in the classroom and on the field and walkthroughs in those periods.
Will Saturday be a scrimmage day? You guys going to be announcing?
Yeah, we're going to scrimmage.
What are you hoping to get out of that experience? And
try and get better at football.
On a different note, how often, when you take pictures with the crews, how often do you practice your pose with them, for their commitment? How often do you ever switch
Like,
up?
you mean like, am I in the mirror practicing before?
Yeah, maybe.
No.
Like, you don't ever practice.
So, like, during the picture.
Okay.
It's my practice.
How have you seen Will and Junior kind of just mesh and creating this new version of the offense this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of carryover of what we've done before. The key for us now is, okay, let's challenge ourselves to be different and use our personnel in the best way. So what we had last year, what's different? How can we utilize our personnel in the best way for us to be successful? No offense or defense should ever look exactly the same when your personnel changes.
When you're talking about your goals for this spring, is it like a practice-to-practice goal? Is it like, all right, this week we want to accomplish this by the end of Saturday? Or is it like we're all working for one goal that would be at the end of spring ball?
Yeah, I think there's some big picture picture goals, right? And then there's some small goals. I think when you step on the practice field, there has to be a small goal for the day for you individually, for you on your side of the ball. Hey, whatever we do, we're going to make sure we emphasize 3 throughs on defense and not losing that. Whether QB center exchanges on offense, whatever that might be, try to find that one piece that you're really trying to carry over and create some success with.
Where have you seen Trevor Maya kind of improve his game within the last year or two?
Well, I think the biggest thing is Trev has really done a great job changing his body. He's gotten bigger and stronger to give him a little bit more position versatility. Again, he's moving really well. He's had a phenomenal spring, but it started really in the offseason for Trev and the way he's worked. I've been really proud of his growth.
Bucky was so good for you last year and running back. Just what's kind of his next step of evolution you're expecting to see from him?
Yeah, don't get comfortable, right? What made him good is how he fought every single day to get carries, how he fought every single day to make this team better, and he's got to continue to do that same thing. And I see that from him. He ran the ball really hard today, had some really solid runs.
Similar question about Troy. He's one of the top returning receivers in the conference in terms of production. Everybody wants to be a 1,000-yard receiver. What does he have to do to put himself in position to do that?
And I operate within the framework of the offense, right? At times, that's going to lend itself where you get opportunities to make sure you're able to get him the ball, and there's going to be times where he's probably going to be doubled. We're going to take the ball somewhere else. But understanding what he does, and then we have to do a good job as coaches of moving him around and creating advantageous matchups.
What did you see from the linebackers so far for 6 practices?
Man, I think we got a really strong group, and it's really comparable from top all the way to bottom. There isn't really a bottom group. There's really level play where I think there's a lot of guys that can play at that position.
When you have to replace one of the top corners in college football, what are the traits that you're looking for from all the guys who compete for? Whether it's Kyrie coming in, or Quez, Dante, that give you the confidence that somebody is going to step in, maybe not to be exactly like Gonzo was, but to be at that level, to be a top cornerback one guy.
Yeah, again, I think you just have to play to the strengths of your players. Not everybody's going to be the same, but ultimately what do you want from a corner? A guy that can cover, that's smart, that understands how to prevent the big play. And then I think the new advent in football is figuring out ways to make sure corners tackle, so we have to be able to do that and get guys on the ground.
Will Stein talked about over the interview process yesterday. What was it about the interview with him that made you think he might be a great fit here?
Yeah, biggest thing I was probably looking for is just that fit, right? Can they come in and be adaptable, understand what our big picture values are, what we want to accomplish offensively, and then do they understand how to use players in unique ways to get them the ball, to maximize your personnel. I think really you look at the advent of how things changed there at UTSA his last year, what he did, what they did the year before, and what he did the next year. I think that's a great indication of having almost a high school coach's mentality of playing to what your players do best.
Where have you seen Ty and Austin maybe improve? Where's the progress been for them this spring?
Yeah, I think each one of them gotten better each day. I think we had some drill work that was a little different today that applied a little bit more pressure to them. We tried to script some scrambles where those guys have to operate, in scramble mode. We put offense and defensive line in front of them in 7-on-7, so there was actual pad. A lot of people do that on air. So creating that pressure, having to play quarterback in a drill where most people are able to throw on timing, it's like routes on air. But both those guys coming in and attacking every day, another year of experience, I think is really beneficial to them. And then Austin's had big strides from day one to where we're at now.
For Ty, was facing pressure and how he handled it, is that something you guys maybe took away from his film last year? And is that a priority? Is that just something in general for young quarterbacks?
I think all quarterbacks got to be able to handle pressure, right? And then when you become really good at handling pressure, I think that can be something that becomes a real advantage for you on offense when you understand where pressures are coming from and then how you can influence protections to help yourself out.
There's been a lot of conversation the last couple of weeks now in the SEC about possibly playing spring games against opponents with other teams, whether it be at FCS or G5 level or something. Would you be open to that in the future?
I'm not opposed to it. I think why people probably say that is right now in college football more than ever, rosters are really depleted in the spring, right? People don't have enough bodies to actually get through practice and make themselves better. Obviously, there's injury concerns. Last year, I would have been all for that because we didn't have as many bodies. Now we got a lot of guys that need to work, and personally, I want to get the work of our guys in the spring. But if we had a depleted roster, I'd probably be in favor of doing that. Our numbers are a lot closer this year to where we're able to go out there and play.
You talked a lot about your two-spot practices and how that's been a really big deal for you. How have you seen maybe some of the changes over the spring? Guys getting more reps, getting more practice, pay off so far just in these few practices.
Yeah, experience and development, right? You're going to develop with reps, right? It's hard to get good at football just watching other people play football. You got to go out there and get reps. And we did a little less two-spot today than we've done our last few practices. That being said, when we're able to do that, we're able to do two-spot and four-spot walks. That allows us to get a lot of guys better.
One guys we just haven't seen so far this spring down is Damon Davis. Just curious as to his status.
Yeah, he got dinged up, and we're just being conscientious and cautious with him this offseason.
brought in Trayshawn Holden among guys at receiver in particular. What has he shown? What has he brought to the room, and what are you hoping that he provides in the receiving corps?
Yeah, obviously he has some experience. He's big body. I think he has a bigger catch radius. We want to see him as he continues to learn and process what we're trying to do on offense. I think that'll accelerate, and you'll see his play go up another level. But he's had some big body catches inside where he's able to get a little bit bigger in the paint, right, than some other guys.
Dan Lanning, Oregon football head coach, after practice today. The Ducks back on the practice field on Thursday, getting ready for their first scrimmage of the spring on Saturday. That's coming up. Meanwhile, for Oregon track and field, for the second time this year, Urinde Van Klinken just announced as the National Athlete of the Week. The two-time NCAA champion in the discus posted an NCAA leading and school record measure in her season debut at the Triton Invitational. She was also a part of Tuesday's Pac-12 weekly honors release, but when you're the national player, it's like, yeah, of course. Yeah, you're going to get some Pac-12 honors when you're also the national recognition. When you get the national recognition, you know what I'm going for. When we come back, Junior Adams, the Oregon wide receivers coach. That's next. Stick with us on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen.
For late nights writing English papers.
For your teen's music taste.
For dinners, where they talk more on their phone than with you.
For the first time, they call you mom.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen, and you can't imagine the reward.
To learn more about adopting a teen, visit adoptuskids.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. He sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself.
For many military veteran caregivers, their caregiving journey starts earlier in life and lasts longer. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
We're back on Nugget Cider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. After practice today, Junior Adams, the Oregon wide receivers coach, talked about a lot of individuals, including some of the newcomers. After practice, talking with Junior Adams.
What's the process been like getting to know Will, getting to know his offense, working with him closely?
It's been awesome. I mean, Will brings a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience. Obviously, the success speaks for itself. It's been pretty cool to get on the same page with him, right? And, some of the things that he likes to do, some of the things that we did last year, and make the two worlds mesh. He's an awesome dude.
Seems like he's pretty democratic in being open to different ideas and stuff. What's the kind of the blend of everything coming together?
Well, when you look at that room, you got a lot of experience, right? Yeah. Between myself and Drew Maringer, right? Alik, and then you got Cav, and then, Carlos Lachlan, and then bringing Will in there, there's it's a low ego in there. And we all know we're in it for one common goal, and we're all working together. So it's been pretty good.
There's probably a little bit more uncertainty in your room a year ago, Junior, and that there just wasn't a lot of proven weapons compared to now, where Troy's coming off a big year. Mm-hmm. With him specifically, where do you feel like he's proven some things? Where do you feel like he still has a lot to prove, a lot of room to grow? When
it comes to Troy did a good job this offseason. As soon as the season was over and he got back from break, it was like, okay, coach, what do I need to get better at? And then we dove into his film and his tape, and we talked about some areas where he can improve at. And what Troy has done, between January and now, he's working on those things, right? Putting himself in hard situations and difficult situations, and trying to win the routes. I always tell him, kind of like a basketball player, you got to be a walking bucket. Anytime you get man, we got to be able to go to you at any point.
With Will's offense, have you noticed any type of difference when it comes to receivers, not just the offense as a whole, but the receivers kind of working any different compared to what Dillingham was doing last year?
Well, no, it's still the same similar offense, right? Not much has changed, right? And we're going to cater to the best 11 players and to the strength of the personnel.
What has Trayshawn added to your room?
A lot of experience. He's playing a lot of big games. Just getting Trayshawn caught up to speed on what we're doing and our verbiage and our terminology. But he's been really good. He's been working hard at it. He comes in and does extra work. He comes in the morning. Him and Tez, if you want to be honest with you, they come in at like 6:30 in the morning, and they'll start jumping into the install before everyone gets there, and you can see it's paying off.
You mentioned Tez. Yeah, what is he? Everybody can look at his production from the Sun Belt and see what kind of explosive guy he is. Just what does he bring to your group?
Tez is on his way to being a pretty good player. The cool thing about Tez, he's consistent. And what I mean by consistent, he's consistently the same person every day. Like, he comes in, again, like I said, at 6:30. He's got a big smile on him. He has some good energy, which he brings to that room. And he's been fun to work with.
Well, said that when Tez committed, that he called Troy and Hudson up and kind of told them that there wasn't going to be any favoritism towards Tez. Just how much does that competition in that room make you guys better, especially in the spring?
Well, yeah, competition is it brings out the best in everyone, right? And I would say it's not just in between the lines. It also is in the classroom, right? Like, literally, we build competitions for them in the meeting room to where they're competing against each other too, which makes learning fun. So they've been a good group to work with so far.
I know it was on Saturday in the first scrimmage of spring ball.
Say what again?
What are you hoping to see out of Saturday's scrimmage?
That we play hard and make some plays and to be alignment and assignment sound.
I know he wasn't able to get here this spring, but you got Jurion Dickey coming this summer. I mean, how excited are you to work with him? What have you seen from him so far, and just the prospect of what he can bring to the table as a freshman?
I mean, when you look at his film, right? I mean, we're hoping that what you see on film he can bring and add to that room, right? Big, physical, size, and speed.
How do you feel about the depth in the room for at least the spring, Junior? And that, I mean, especially a couple of guys were dinged up. Justice came back today, but down to 6-7 guys. It's a little thin, but how do you feel about it by way of numbers right now for the spring?
We're just going to line up and play football. I don't really look too much into it. What that means is next man up and next man mentality, and guys are getting reps and they're getting proven with those reps.
As you go about recruiting for the future and the portal and all that, like in an ideal world, how would you like to stack eligibility clocks in your room? Just because it's kind of juniors and freshmen at the moment. Eligibility clocks.
Well, when it comes to college football, we're just going to play the best guys in the room, the best 11 guys, and whatever that is. But I think it's deep. I think you got a lot of guys with a wealth of experience in there, and we're just going to put the ball down and play football.
Kyler Casper came last year. He had the benefit of enrolling a year early when he should have been 2023 class. How beneficial do you think that was to him and his growth?
I mean, it's huge, right? And technically, he's supposed to be part of the class that's here right now, right? That's enrolling this year, right? So I think obviously he got a head start, and it's good. It's paying off. Kyler made some plays today in practice. The last few days, he's been playing with a little more urgency. He's been playing big. He made a big play in the end zone today, which I thought was good to see. He made a play in the middle of the field, and no, he's getting better. He's also getting better in the meeting room, right? And I think that's where it all starts at.
How have you seen Chris and just his spring? And you brought in a guy that plays a similar role to him. How has he kind of handled the extra competition?
Chris, one thing about Chris, and I think we all know Chris does not shy away from competition. Chris comes out every day to work, and he practices hard. But Chris is doing his thing. He's doing Chris. He's making plays. He made a play on the sideline today that was pretty good. It was a contested play, so that was good to see.
What does a freshman, whether it's Kyler coming off a redshirt year or Ashton coming in, or Jurion eventually, what do they have to show in the spring, Junior, to put themselves in position to be a contributor in the fall, to be on the 2 deep, to be a guy you can feel like you can rely on in September, not progress in November, but to be ready out the chute?
Well, I think you just said it, right? Reliability, right? I mean, and one, being durable, right? Two, being alignment and assignment sound, right? And making plays.
We talked a lot about receiver growth already, but where have you seen Bo grow so much this offseason with the team?
I think Bo's doing a really good job of taking the leadership role, right? And putting the arm around the wideouts when things don't obviously go the way we want them to go. He's doing a good job of getting us into the right play call. One thing you'll see with Bo, what you guys don't see, is it's what he does when no one else is around and how he corrals the guys. He'll sit with them and watch film, or he'll be in there in the offensive staff meetings hearing what the coaches are talking about.
Whether it be Chris or Tez, what does a smaller receiver need to do to excel as as a blocker on the outside?
Competitive, tough, and play big.
You see that from those two?
Yeah, they did. They made some good blocks today, and cracking safeties too that sprung some long runs.
Junior Adams, a lot of great updates on some individuals. I think that's a deep wide receiver group this year. I'm really excited to see the way that this group takes shape. When we come back, a couple student athletes, Trevor Mai, Bucky Irving, and Steve Stevens met with the media after practice. Quick timeout, more on the horizon on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Baseball coming up tonight. We've got a 4:45 pregame show and a 5 o'clock first pitch. We won't be able to get to all of our student-athlete interviews today, and we won't have a show tomorrow because of Oregon baseball playing at noon, but the entire Quack video crew has already uploaded all of them to the Go Ducks YouTube. Alex Simpson is literally doing that as we speak, so thanks to the crew. So if you want to be able to listen to everything that the student-athlete said, they're on the Go Ducks YouTube. A little bit from Trevor Mai, a guy who has transitioned quite a bit, actually, in his career. He met with the media today.
I feel like I got better playing the Ryan. That's always been a focus of mine. I enjoy it particularly, but just being able to use my technique, use my tool belt when I need it.
Going off that, just where did you look to improve upon in this past offseason going into now?
This past offseason, I think I need my biggest area I need to improve in is really like my reaction to the type of blocks I'm getting, and then just general like knowledge of like, okay, this is what the offense is doing. I got to do this. I got to change up what I'm doing.
Are you still at defensive end, or are you moving more to edge?
No, I actually got moved to D tackle, so I'm playing primarily the 3 tech and the 2I.
What's
that
that
like?
like?
Who has experience playing on the edge? Yeah, what's it like to? How much? What's that process like physically, but also mentally?
Physically, it's a lot different. There's more weight, more bodies inside. A lot of combo blocks, and but it's D-line is D-line. It's similar similar as a whole, everything. So I like it. I've embraced it, and I feel like this is where I have the best opportunity.
Did you have to add weight to go into D-line or the D-tackle?
Yeah, I did. I had about 10 pounds from last year, so I'm at 290 right now.
Is it about where you want to kind of settle after?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting, talking about him moving and gaining a little bit of weight, changing his body a little bit. And you heard Dan Lanning mention earlier that changing his body has been a big part of that position change. Trevor Mai talking with the media there. The rest of his interview on the Go Ducks YouTube. Also, Bucky Irving, a guy who was really, really good last year. And Coach Lanning said that he can't get comfortable with being good. He's got to stay working hard to maintain that level. Bucky Irving talked a little bit about that today.
Year 2 in the program, you kind of set yourself to step up as more of a leader now that you know this team more, you know this offense more. How have you kind of seen yourself, how have you noticed yourself take on more of a leadership role with this team?
I mean, we got a bunch of young guys that came in the room. I know they watching my every step and what I do from flex to indie. So I just try to take every day the same and be the bigger person and be the leader.
You were so good last year. Where do you focus your spring individual work to get better at? What are the areas you're trying to just improve?
I mean, it's not really about me, it's about the team. So we trying to find each and every day to get that 1% better as a whole, not just individual goals.
Have you seen that come across through 6 practices, your group getting better every day?
Yeah, I just feel like we trying to find that 1% each and every day to come together as a team. No individual goals.
Sure. What have you seen from Dante Dowdell and Jaden Lamar so far? Have they impressed you?
Yeah, I feel like them guys came in and made a big impact, and I like them a lot.
What are things you are working on? Not individual goals, but just what are some of the techniques, what are some of the things you're trying to improve on yourself?
I'm just trying to improve on probably pass protection a little more, keeping the quarterback clean.
What is it about Dante and Jaden that stand out when you're watching them as runners?
Really tough guys, smart. They're going to take the coaching.
Have you noticed any big differences in Will Stein's offense compared to what you guys were running last year?
No, it's no different really. He just put his bits and pieces in it.
Well, totally different O-line other than Stephen Jones. Just running behind different guys. Anything changed from blocking schemes or just having to know where the holes are with these guys?
No, I mean, from the guys last year, from the guys this year, I got trust in all my offensive line just like the guys from last year.
That was a great statement for him to make, right? Has faith in all of the new offensive linemen, because for me that's a position group I'm looking at here in the spring and heading into the fall. You know, tons of veterans along that O-line last year. Guys like Marcus Harper stepping into those leadership roles. Women's tennis announcing a couple signings. More details on that, the latest additions on GoDucks.com. Men's golf is in action today. We'll have some updates for you tomorrow. And Oregon baseball tonight, 4:45 pregame show, 5 o'clock first pitch. We'll see you at PK Park and Duck Insider on Thursday.
Chris Jakimick, I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA, is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families, and one way you can